This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, right, I have given an overview of what is Splunk and what it does, right? Now we'll move on to the next topics. We have discussed about the Splunk users as well as the what it monitors, right? So now we'll go through the what are the certifications that are available as part of the Splunk. So basically, right, Splunk has many. It is used by many organizations, as well as the expertise is needed in terms of administration, development, and there will be like three types of users basically. One is like administrator who will manage the Splunk. Splunk is not a standalone or like it's small, like it's a actually it's a big cluster. You will have like so many servers for Splunk. So in order to maintain those, right, you will be having some certifications related to admin. Okay, and there will be some certifications specifically for developer who will build the dashboards. Okay, and there will be some certification like Splunk core power user, Splunk core certified user, right? These are for everyone. So these are the two are the prerequisites. If you are having these two certification, right, you will be having knowledge on both some topics of the developer as well as the admin. Okay, in our course, right, we will be covering 100% this one, and we will be covering 80% these things. For core certified user, 100% topics, but for power user, right, this is the first level, this is the next level. For this one, right, I will be covering like 80% of the topics. If you see the syllabus also, our course will, if you compare the syllabus, mostly like 80% will be covered. And if someone is there like who want to go to a specifically developer, right, who want to build the dashboards and manage, right, for those people there will be something like a Splunk certified developer. And certified admin is for someone like who will be installing and deploying the configurations, upgrading and putting the licenses, right? So for those, right, you will be having this Splunk admin, and there will be some certification called as Splunk Enterprise Certified Architect. So who will design the infrastructure for that particular company, for a particular enterprise. So how like based on your load, how many logs it generates, right? He will be designing the infrastructure. So that is the Splunk Certified Architect. And there will be something like Splunk security. So actually the Splunk is mostly used in the security, like for monitoring the uh, system. So for security specific, there will be some other certifications. So
Uh,
we will be covering. Yeah, please.
Question here. What is that sequence of those? Any specific sequence?
No sequence actually. Everything is independent. These two are like first you will have this one. This is the first actually. Okay. This is the second. This is the third. Okay. But you can directly take this one as well. Not an issue. And this is an independent. Everything is an independent exam. Mm, This is for admin people, right? This is the first, and
Okay.
this will be the second.
And,
Okay.
it is online, or we have to go to any center for this?
It's an online.
Thank you.
For a performance tester, this should be enough. Or if you are like well versed, right, you can go for this certification as well.
One question. What is the fee for the certification?
So it depends, like it is like some 6,000 to 10,000. Varies from one certification to one certification. Looks like they are giving some 50% discount if you do your certification before November or this end. 50% discount is
Okay.
there.
Okay.
When you say 6,000, 10,000, it's a rupees or?
Rupees.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not in different time zone. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay. It will be like normal price only, like 10 or like 6. So actually
Shall we get any tutorials or any sample questions?
yeah, that I will guide you, but for this, if you want to complete this course, right, this course would be enough for you. And the
Yeah.
questions will be also like, some questions will be very simple, some will be like tricky. At the end of the course, right, I will guide you.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Sorry, one last question. How
yep,
many attempts they will allow?
one attempt only. Means like if you
Oh,
fail or something, right? For
yeah.
one voucher, we are asking like how many
Correct.
certifications.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
It depends, right? For them, they want like the voucher to be sold. We can write in any items.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks.
So actually, before coming to this Splunk software, actually it's on high level, right? For practices, if you don't want to install in your system, right? Splunk will provide some 15 days trial license. Okay, so this can be used for uploading your data and practicing. This is called the Splunk SaaS applications. Tomorrow I will show you like how to create a SaaS how to create a SaaS instance. Okay, and most of our classes, right, you will be using this enterprise edition. So the difference between the cloud SaaS application and enterprise edition is, cloud SaaS application, actually you will get one URL and the logs will be shipped to the infrastructure of the Splunk. Okay, if it is a telecom domain, or like if it is a smaller project where like it's a smaller company where you don't want to create an infrastructure, you don't want to buy any servers, right, then they can go with the SaaS applications. Okay, so there is no retention policy for you, just you want to maintain for some 1 month or 2 months, after that you can destroy the infrastructure. Okay, in those kind of environment, right, then you can go with the a SaaS application. Okay, so you have to contact the Splunk for the like a license, whatever you require in terms of like how many GB per day you want to store, like either it can be 5 GB or 10 GB. So you have to contact the Splunk. This can be used for a startups, or like a not like a business information won't be stored, right, in the logs. So those things it can be used. And enterprise edition, right, so Splunk will provide two things for you. One is they will provide the software as well as the corresponding, you have to buy the corresponding license. So there are two things. License normally, right, if you procure LoadRunner or something, right, first you will procure some LoadRunner, after that you will buy the license for the number of users or number of the load generators, right? In the same way, here also you have to buy the license. Let us assume if your our company is producing some 10 GB of logs. Okay, then you have to buy some 10 GB of license. Okay, if you are like in a company, right, there will be like n number of applications. Okay, so each will be having each some will be like performance intensive, where like number of users will be coming to that application and they will be accessing, right? For those it will consume a lot, so we have to buy the corresponding license. So it acts as something like a prepaid. So if you are buying some, if you have a prepaid mobile, right, so I will take a PowerPoint, sorry, one second. There will be two types of license actually. License for storing the data. One is like base. Let us assume like you will based on your Splunk like logs generation usage, or like logs generation, right? So your architect or your development team will suggest such like you will be running some performance tests, right? Average users per day it is consuming some 50 GB. Okay, so you will be procuring like 50 GB license. Okay, as the day progresses, as the scrum progresses, right, there will be like multiple functionality, and then requirements will come. So you won't test the business functionality, like do the performance testing 24/7, right? So whenever you run a performance test, right, what will happen? Some logs will be generated. So during those days, right, you will be having some additional of like 50 another 50 GB will be generated. So what you have to do, right, you have to buy a base license of 50 GB and a top up of 50 GB. So whenever this base license breaches, right, in your like if you take prepaid mobile, you will be having some talk time, right? Whenever you recharge with some X amount, you will be getting some talk time. Once that gets over, you will be doing a top up. In the same way, you have to do a top up for your license as well, additional GB whatever you consume. Okay. And actually for a enterprise edition, right, you will be giving like by default you will be getting 500 MB, so you can ship around like 500 MB of logs. You will be having some developer license. Actually, you have to request for a developer license by using your corporate email ID. For that, right, you will be getting some 10 GB per day, and it will be valid for 1 year, I believe. Okay. So in our course, right, whenever we progress, right, I will be explaining you, like, first you will be having like a base license of around this 500 MB. Later, we will upgrade the license to some 10 GB per day. I will show the demo as well. And there will be something called as dev test license. So like most of the companies will use Splunk only in the production. They won't be using in the uh, uh, performance testing environments or in the lower environments like system integration testing environment or dev environment. For them, right, Splunk is providing a 6 months license free of cost. So your company can request for, or if you are already procured, or if you want to just do a POC and monitor the system for 6 months, right, you will get it for free. This is about the different licenses and different Splunk software which are available. Any doubts here? Yeah, I will move on. I hope it's clear. Yeah. So what are the Splunk components? Till now, like, you thought like Splunk is just a single type of software. It's just one software. Like if you take AppDynamics, right, you will be having one controller and one agent which will be running on the source. But in Splunk, it is not like that. You are having multiple components like universal forwarder, heavy forwarder, indexer, cluster master, search head, deployment server, and license master. Okay, so each one is having its own purpose. Okay, I will be explaining you. Okay, I will typically explain on that. Take this. I think if I draw it will be better. Get an understanding. So this is my source application. Okay, this is my application. These are my applications, and this is my DB server. Okay. And it is my DB server. Okay. Now this is this component. Whenever first what should happen, right? Splunk should forward the logs to the indexer. Actually, there is one indexer component in Splunk. Okay, here So universal forwarder is a software which will be deployed in your source applications. It is an agent that forwards your logs to one component called as indexer. Okay, it will store the data in buckets. Bucket is nothing but a directory. Actually, if you are shipping some logs, right, it should be stored in some storage, either it can be a DB or some other thing. But here Splunk will store the data in a component called as indexer in a directory. And universal forwarder is a lightweight program like AppDynamics or like New Relic or like another monitoring tool. You will be having some agent, right, in order to send the data from source to destination, right? So you will be having the universal forwarder. Okay, this is for application. Let us assume I am having a DB server. Okay, so no other like no customer will agree to put any agent in your RKLDB or something, right? So already RKLDB or these databases will be like running out of CPUs, and you will be having facing issues for in the Splunk queries and all those. So normally architects or no one will be interested in deploying a third-party software in RKL rack or in their DBs, correct? So we can't install this universal forwarder as such. So what we have to do, right? There is one component called as heavy forwarder. Okay, heavy forwarder, what it will do, right? It will have some app or it will have some configuration where actually, do you know like where the like logs will be present in the DB? Like if you are having some transaction logs, right? Where it will be stored? Is it in the table or file system?
It's in table.
Yeah, correct. So we can't, our goal is to get the data from that audit tables, correct? So this heavy forwarder will help us to connect to that particular database, and from that particular audit table or whatever table, wherever we store, that will facilitate us to send the data to this Splunk indexer. That is the job of this heavy forwarder. This is a separate component. So you can't install heavy forwarder like this. Let us assume like there are some Cisco routers, okay, routers or firewalls, or IoT devices. So I can't install my forwarder there, universal forwarder. This will be around like 80 MB or something. Okay, I can't install that in my router. So I think you know, right? Router works on response to SNMP. So you will be giving some SNMP commands, and you will get if you want to get the CPU, right, you will give a SNMP command that I will tell you in my future class. But I can't show a demo, but I will tell you like what is SNMP and how the things will be fetched by the heavy forwarder. So using the SNMP commands, if you have to issue some like UUID or UID, you will have MIB ID. If I give that MIB ID, then it will get the CPU. So Splunk heavy forwarder will collect that data from the router in terms of CPU or like whatever alerts if it is there, right? Then it will store in the, it will forward it to the, I think we already have that. So it will forward it to the Splunk indexer. Okay.
Question here.
Yeah,
So on
please.
the database server or on the router, uh, to fetch their log, there has to be something installed on that machine. Even the heavy forwarder is a different component, perhaps a different hardware. Some
Yes.
agent needs to fetch the data from those two servers, correct? I mean, not one of them is database server, another one is router. So there has to be
So
some sort of root level privilege on those two machines, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I will tell you. So normally, right, what we will do now in a DB server, normally you will be having three things, right? You will be having credentials, okay, okay, and we will be having the host machine and the port. So these three things are required. If I have these three things, right, can I log into this machine?
Yes.
So we'll do exactly the same. In heavy forwarder, we'll be having the DB server credentials. Okay, they will be creating a separate credentials for this DB server, which will have access to only that audit table. Whatever the table it has to read, they won't provide any write access. And I will be having the host, and I will be having the port. With these three things, this heavy forwarder will connect manually to this DB server, and it will fetch the data. So there is no agent required to it. Did I answer your question?
You did. Thank you.
And in the same,
One more question here. This heavy forwarder is on a separate machine, or it can be part of the existing machine?
actually, it is a separate machine.
Okay.
It's a separate machine. So that's why I'm saying, like, in Splunk, right, there is a separate team or separate people who maintains the infrastructure, because it's not a single software. Actually, the enterprise edition can be there will be like two types of softwares. One is universal forwarder, okay, and Splunk will provide you the enterprise edition. They will provide only these two softwares, okay. This enterprise edition can be converted into heavy forwarder or indexer, or there will be like whatever the components which I tell, right, this is the same software. We have to mold the software based on our configuration. If I want to make it as an indexer, I have to change that as an indexer machine. If I want to make it as a heavy forwarder, the same enterprise edition can be converted into the heavy forwarder. Okay, so let us assume like there is Splunk has one more use. So heavy forwarder has one more use basically. So let us assume I'm a like middleman, in the sense like now in business, sorry, in banks or something, right, credit cards or something, there will be like a payment gateways, right, where they will be connecting to multiple customers, right. If I want to authorize a transaction, it has to go to by a Visa or MasterCard or Rupee, right. So those people, right, they won't be interested in getting your Splunk all the data. Yes or no? They don't want your application logs. They will be interested in some fields, something like I want the transaction ID, I want the source, card, card number, and the banker, or like card issuer, or something like a amount. So MasterCard, if they want to collect the data, right, they want the what to say, these details, and others can be discarded, right, web UI or something, right, those can be discarded. So if you want to apply parsing on an existing log, let us assume if I am generating some uh, uh, past transaction, failed transactions, and all those, but I am interested in only in past. Let us assume like there is a business use case, something like this, to put it simple, right, there will be something like past and failed transactions, right. So but what I told, right, I don't want the past transactions, I want to collect the details of only failed transactions. So if in simple, if I want to say, if I want to parse the source data, okay, if this universal forwarder that does the job, no, then there will be overhead on the application, whatever you are running. Let us assume if you are running your app server and you want to customize your data, you want to send only specific things, if you want to parse the data on the fly, then if you do that job in the universal forwarder, right, then it will put a overhead on the application itself. Let us assume like my application is running on like around like 70% utilization. If I parse the data, you know, right, parsing the data will cause high IO, due to which there is a chance like my CPU may also go to 90% or something. So no customer will wants to parse the data on their application. During that time also, the data will be sent to the heavy forwarder, and heavy forwarder will parse the data, and it will be forwarded to the indexer. If you need any like parsing of the data, if you want to change the formats or anything, if you want to do it, heavy forward can be used for that purpose. Clear? Now here, right, I can't have only one indexer. Indexer means a different like single server, no? Here I'm having some thousands of source machines, means my universal forwarder is installed in some 1,000 machines or like 2,000 servers, and single indexer can't do the job. So like that, right, you will be having like multiple indexers. Okay, you will be having like in your company, you will be having some 50 or 60 based on your load. Okay, for managing them, right, you will be having one component called as like cluster master. Cluster master will manage multiple indexers. Okay, why you will have multiple indexers? Let us assume from source I can send data to multiple indexers itself. Why? Because if by any chance if one fails, my data is lost. So what I will do, right, while from the source itself, sorry, from the source itself, right, I will have something like, if I send data to multiple indexers, no, what will happen? If let us assume by any chance if it crashes also, my data will be present in the other indexer. So it is used for high availability as well as the performance. If you have multiple nodes, you will be obviously you will be getting good performance, right? Because some logs will be generated like 10 MB per second or like 15 MB per second, something like that. But if you are having so many systems like that, it can't push 1 GB or like 10 GB, something like that. If you are getting from multiple systems, all can't be triggered to one machine, no, one indexer, right? That's why we will be having multiple indexers. For managing them, right, you will be having a cluster master, okay, for which manages these things. Okay, for these things only, for setting up and managing this one, right, you will need a admin.
The
Okay,
indexer 2 is also connected to app2 also.
everything, it is something
Yeah, so
like
you can
once I want,
connect it. It
correct.
was not shown so.
Yeah, I didn't, because it will be like if I draw too much, right? Yeah, like that you can put. So while sending the data only, we'll send it to multiple indexers itself rather than one indexer, such that if one thing goes wrong, right, if one indexer crashes, you will be having the data. Okay, now my data is present here. Okay, my data is present here. Now I want to write a query and fetch the data. You will be having a separate component called as like search head. So search head job is, it's a UI basically. Whatever the data that is present in this indexer will be fetched by the search head. Okay, this will do, it is a web UI basically. It will try to get the data what is present in the indexer and show you. And from there you will be having different apps, and you will be having like you can build the dashboards, visualizations can be done using the search head. In your company, you will be provided the, if you are working on Splunk, right, you will be provided the search head URL. Okay, like that, there will be some enormous amounts of the data over here, and there will be like multiple people who will be logging into the Splunk, no, from your organ. There will be multiple teams, so one search head won't be sufficient there. So what you will be doing, right, you will be installing multiple search heads, because actually there is a calculation also, like how many search heads you need based on the hardware. Like in terms of CPU, like one CPU will, there is some calculations, something like if you want to concurrently uh, if you want something like a number of 3 plus number of cores, something, the calculation is there, but it is more specific for the admin. Okay, whenever we are in doing that admin course, right, then you will get like how many cores you need or all those. But for us, right, it's just, we have to remember, like we will be having like multiple search hits based on the load, and this will be protected by a load balancer. Okay, here there will be you will be hitting the load balancer that will be connecting to your multiple search hit and get the data from your indexer. Okay, now let us assume, boss, now I am having some 1,000 applications. So if I want to do any configuration, right, I have to manually go and do that configuration in every server, correct? So it is a like tough job, right, for an admin or someone if they want to push the, let us assume you are having some cluster which is having from 50 machines of same app server, is a cluster of 50 machines. Okay, then you want to push same type of configuration in all the 50 servers. Now if I want to log in and do that configuration, it will take 2-3 days for modifying that, 2 days at least, right? In order to minimize that, right, there is a component called as deployment server. This deployment server will do the necessary configurations that are needed. If you want to push any configuration or something, that will be done by the deployment server in this universal forwarder machines. But the software is same, the same enterprise edition you will be having, which we have to convert it as a deployment server. You can convert it as a cluster master or an indexer or a search head. And one more thing, right, if you install this search head, right, sorry, indexer, right, you will be getting the search head by default. This indexer will also have a search head, but it is not recommended to use your indexer as a search head. In an enterprise, they won't use the indexer as a search head. If I give my IP of indexer, I will be able to see the UI, but in enterprise, right, they won't use. Clear till now?
I have a question here.
Yeah, please.
This is Zahid. On the load balancer, I do not get the merits of load balancer on the search head. Can you explain?
Okay, yeah, sure. So here you will be having number of, mostly, right, you will be having the number of users who will be accessing the application, correct? Multiple users will be accessing the applications. So they will have a load balancer to distribute. Like if I'm like 100 people try to access the Splunk, no, they don't know to which server they have to go. This is the place where like Splunk has to decide to which search head it has to distribute the traffic, right, randomly.
I got it now.
Okay, so if you have some load balancer protected by this, right, here, because before this, right, Splunk won't have any control on its environment. From here you have to put a load balancer, because I can't give like multiple IPs of search head to multiple teams, no. So I will give only one IP address under which I will protect multiple search heads.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So This is mostly used for admin, but as you are doing this, I am covering as part of the course so that you will get a good understanding.
So
Clear
this
till now?
load balancer, sorry. So this load balancer will be connected to the indexers?
No. From here, right? No, it won't be connected. This load balancer is only before the Splunk network. Means like before the Splunk configuration. After that, everything is a configuration. There won't be load balancers between us, but you will be having configuration files.
Okay.
And we'll see that what are the and license master. If you want to apply the license, right, then this license master will be useful. Means like as I told, one different projects may have different uh, storage requirements or like log requirement, right? Some for some people, right, they require some 1 GB, some for some people they want some 10 GB during that time, right? If you want to apply the license to that components, right, then we will be using the license master to apply the license. Okay, now we have gone through the universal forwarder, what is heavy forwarder, what is indexer, cluster master, what is search head, okay, and deployment server, right, like it will basically use to apply the configuration in the like source machines or like universal forwarder where it is installed, and license master. So I'll move on to the next slide.
Can
So
you
now
show?
it will be, yeah, please. You want me to go to the same PP, this
No,
one?
the next one. The next one. Yeah. No, no. Yes. The eight slide number 8.
Hmm?
Slide number 8.
Slide number 8. Okay, and yeah, I will go to there only. Yeah, please. Here now you will understand. So now here I am having some source applications. I can explain, but you won't understand if I put it directly here. Now you will be understanding better. So let
Yes.
us assume like,
This was really helpful.
yeah, if I directly go here, right, you won't be able to understand, or I can't explain in a better way. Now you will be easily understanding. So you will be having some Splunk forwarder installed in your applications. Now you will be having a deployment server which does the configuration. Clear? Now you are having some DB servers or something. The DB servers will push the data to the heavy forwarder, and the same thing will be sent to the indexer cluster. And there will be a deployment server which will do actually there is one more component called as a deployer. Basically this deployer, what it will do, right, it will uh, do the configuration. It will make the search heads in sync. Let us assume like there are actually in Splunk you will be installing some apps. Okay, apps for dashboards or something you will be creating now. So at any point of time, those should be in sync. If you create a dashboard, right, it should be in sync with everything, right? In every search head, should be configuration should be present. This deployer will do that configuration. Okay, it will make these search heads in sync. And deployment server is something different, which will be fetching the logs, or will be mentioning like what? Sorry, configuration. Okay, this one I forgot. Okay, and this license master is used for putting the license in the indexer. Now you are clear, right? What is search head? Now you are able to understand this diagram better, no?
Yeah.
Correct. It made it easy.
Yeah. So now I will explain, like most of the people will be asking like what is difference? Even though I explained, I will put it in a pictorial view. So my application server is present over here. Okay. Now I am directly pushing my logs to an indexer, from where by search head will fetch the data from the indexer, and the user can analyze or search or like build the dashboards from this. Okay, this is the normal universal forwarder configuration. If I go to a heavy forwarder, right? If you want to parse anything from multiple source applications, like universal forwarder will send the data to heavy forwarder instead of Splunk indexer. Okay, so if any parsing is required, if you want to fetch the data from DB, or if you want to fetch the data, if you want to get the data from IoT devices or network devices, right? Then heavy forwarder will get the data. It will just give a query, or it will send some instruction, and it will get the data, and it will convert that into a log. So here, if there is something like, if I give HTTP some get request, or I will put in if I put in exactly as a SNMP command, right? I will get some 35 as CPU. I can't put 35 here, right? So I have to add some metadata, like what is the source of that machine, okay, what is the component, what is the IP, and what is the CPU, what is the time. Those things will be added in a log by a heavy forwarder, and it will be putting the data into the indexer. And from there, from indexer, the data will be fetched from the search head. Okay. So as I told, right, there are three types of deployment models. Like one is like a standalone, like in your laptop, you can install your enterprise edition, and you can do the practice, and the license will be valid for around like 60 days. Okay. And if that 60 days gets passed, you can just reinstall that. That should be easy. Or if you are restricted, if you go with a SaaS application, right, then you will be getting only 15 days of license. And the software can be installed in like Windows as well as the Linux machines. And there is one more model called as like distributed model. In distributed model, right, you will be having, only the change is like you will be having multiple indexers and multiple forwarders. Okay. And you will be having only one such head. If you are having like less users, like for small companies, right, like if the user base is like around 100, and not every time the 100 users will be accessing the application, maybe 5 or 10, or like one person will be accessing the executing the Splunk recovery, right, out of 100 at any point of time, 1 or 5. Okay, during those things, right, there won't be overhead on the search head. So they will be having only in single instance of search head, whereas they will be having like 2 to 3 indexers. That is why, because like if something fails, right, you will be having the data in the other 2 indexers. And this is suited for around, like if you are having some 1,000 applications, sorry, 100 applications to 200 applications, and where the Splunk forwarder will be installed. Okay. This is the distributed. And one next is the cluster. Basically, don't get this is the actually, this is the complete stuff. Actually, this gives the immense knowledge on the complete admin environment. Okay, if someone asks, if you see this diagram, right, it should give you like complete what is happening and what is the port that is being used, right? So this is a very high level for us. We'll go through this once we day progresses, and we are not going to do the admin kind of thing, right? Just for information I kept here. Okay, normally you will be having this architecture, multiple search heads. This is the cluster environment. Previously in deploy, we had only one thing, right, one search head, right? In distributed, in cluster, you will be having multiple search heads. This is the cluster diagram. The only thing is like you will be having multiple search heads and multiple indexers. Clear? So don't go much into that one.
It's kind of intimidating.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, I want to take some in future classes. I want to take for admin as well. For admin, right, those will be needed. And one more thing, right, whenever we do this log forwarding, right, then you need these ports also. Then I will explain what is the ports, what are actually what happens, right? If the Splunk, there will be a listener port over here. Okay, there will be 3 ports. One is like 9997. So from this port only, indexer will listen to all the source machines like Splunk forwarders. So they all universal forwarder or like a heavy forwarder will send the data using this port, but that is high level for us, so we'll discuss in the future. That's why I'm saying like Splunk is not a like just a small thing. It's like a vast, and there are multiple certifications and multiple courses in Splunk as well. So just we'll skip that, and in future, right, I will, once you get an overview on the Splunk, and if you are like some 5 or 10 classes, right, then we'll switch back to here and we'll tell you like what is what. I'm just showing the Splunk. I'll show how to download the Splunk and what are the versions that are available, right? So currently, right, Splunk version is like 8.1.0. Okay. Actually, I want to tell you one thing. Before 6.1 or something, right? If you breach the license, I told, right, you have to buy some the license based on your usage. Let us assume like I'm putting like 50, I'm buying some 50 GB. If I breach this license, right, Splunk will 3 for 3 times, C for 3 times. After that, right, they won't you won't be getting the data from search head, right? You won't be able to see that data before 6.1. But now that issue is resolved. Okay, now we are not going to face that issue. So this is the Splunk 1 second, boss. This is Splunk Enterprise Edition. Just a second. So Splunk supports like Windows, Linux, as well as the Mac. So you can install the Splunk in 3 modes: Windows, Linux, as well as the Mac. But 99%, right, people will go with Linux only. Okay, and I am not sure like they will go with Windows. Okay, because if I'm having some 100 servers, right, I have to pay license for 100 server editions. If it is a Linux, right, it will be like cheaper, right, and it will stable also. Okay, and in Linux, right, you can if it is a Debian system, right, you will be having a Debian package, and if it is a Red Hat system or CentOS or something, right, you will be having some RPM package. In any other systems, right, you will be having a tar. If you have this tar based installation, it can be done in Debian as well as in the RPM, or in even in Solaris. Sorry, Solaris, not Solaris, but I meant to say like other flavor of Linux, not Solaris. Okay, tar based. And now we will go through, because you need require only 2 softwares. One is Enterprise Edition, which can be converted to cluster or search head or indexer, and other would be the universal forwarder. If you see this software, right, it is something like 500 MB. Okay, like approximately like 480 MB or something. So it is a heavyweight software. If this is the agent actually, so it's a lightweight program which is around like 79 MB or like 50 plus MB, and it supports like little bit more. It is compatible with other platforms as well, Solaris and AX. If you are running some AIX machine, you will be having a separate version for that, separate software for that. And if it is a Mac, if you want to send the data from Mac, you will be having some DMG as well as star based. If it is a Solaris, you will be having some Solaris specific. And Linux, like there are multiple versions actually based on the distributed distributions. Normally we'll be installing this one tar based in our course will be, and Windows also. This is also some 70 MB. You understood, no? There will be only two types of softwares here. One is universal forwarder as well as the Splunk Enterprise. So once we install it, and we have to convert the Splunk based on the component. If you make it, if you want to make it as an indexer, you want to convert it as indexer or search head or deployment server or cluster master or heavy forwarder. Clear? Yeah.
So just to be clear, on for our practice on a Windows machine, we need two sets of exe, correct? There's
Actually, you want to practice Splunk queries or configuration, that depends. So if you want to practice only the queries, no, then you can install your enterprise edition, and you can have some sample logs files that is provided by the Splunk itself, and using that by uploading that file, right, you can practice your queries. You don't need to install this universal forwarder. If you want to do the live monitoring, like if you want to practice the admin related, if you are into admin related job, then if you want to do the configuration and see practice, right, then you have to install this universal forwarder in another machine, not on the same machine.
so even those sample logs that needs to be uploaded to Indexer, correct?
Yes, those will be uploaded in the indexer. You will have, from UI you can directly upload that logs.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
That is like manual upload.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So for our practice, right, we will be like using this manual upload only. Okay, and while giving one demo, right, where I will be running, where I will be sending some logs from source to destination by installing the universal forwarder. There will be one class on it, because you want all the details, right? The logging should be perfect. It means like it should be standard. So I don't have a application to generate such logs based on the standard. Like you'll be having some standard like timestamp, log level, and the business functionality, round trip time. So if I have an application, right, I can do. But for us, right, our course is more on the Splunk core user. No, you have to practice queries and build the dashboards, right? So mostly you will be requiring only UI. If it is a admin, right, then you will be a, if it is an admin course, right, then you need multiple systems to configure then that. Okay, that's it for today. So like tomorrow, right, I will be showing like how to install, provision a SaaS instance, as well as installing the enterprise edition on the like Windows or Linux. I'll be showing in two demos when how to install Splunk in Windows as well as the Linux. So, and the next class, right, actually it will be on Friday. I will take a session on Friday. Like tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'm having some I'm on actually I'm going to out of station. Yeah.
So tomorrow you're not here, or we're not having any class? Are
Yeah,
we?
tomorrow we're not having any class.
Okay. So the next class is on